Well, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to our webinar on AI-driven business innovation. As we're letting the others join here, we're going to kick it off with a poll to get some information where you are in your AI-driven journey and be able to help us tailor our presentation as we go through and answer some of the questions. So please take a minute to talk a little bit about the poll. Answer the 3 questions that we have in the poll. You'll see it pop up. Again, we're trying to get a sense of where you are, why you're joining this webinar. So information will just be helpful for our presenters. Talk a little bit about the solutions that you're interested most, because we've got quite a few things to offer today, and be able to provide that. And then third one here is just kind of get a sense of where your organization is in the AI adoption piece. So please take a quick minute to answer that poll. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the agenda, so we can bring that up. So we'll take a few minutes here to talk about some of our business, our experience in this area, and our partnership with Microsoft. Next key topic, we're going to talk a little bit about how AI-powered digital transformation from Microsoft is really making a difference with our customers, and try to show you some examples and demos as we go through this. What's pretty exciting is also looking at some of the business solutions that we built and be able to kind of show another example there where it's helping our customers. And finally, we'll close out with some of the innovation coming up with Copilot Studio, and so for the technical team here, being able to answer some questions as part of the interactive Q&A. So appreciate all of you taking the time to answer the poll, and we'll take a minute there, and then we'll jump in and talk about Netwoven. All right, so why don't we go to the next slide? We'll talk a little bit about Netwoven here. Just a few highlights about our partnership with Microsoft. We've appreciate their help with today's webinar. It's been a good partnership. We've been working here over 20 years on Microsoft technology and being as a partner for many of those years. Some of us have come from, I spent many years at Microsoft, so we appreciate and continue to invest in the partnership. We're fortunate to be in the top 1% of partners certified in all the solution areas. And, it's been exciting being early approved partners in both Fabric and the Copilot Jumpstart program. Well, that's why a lot of this we can offer to our customers. Being part of that Jumpstart program has been beneficial in ways of, like I said, teaming up with the Microsoft sales team to offer Copilot services to our customers. We're very active in platform migrations in all the product lines and all the Microsoft products. We're fortunate that we work with a couple of key accounts, and Gartner recognized us for one of the migration services. So if you're looking to migrate both M365, Dynamics, and data warehouses, it's an area where we team up, and it's been a good partnership with Microsoft. Let me talk a little bit on the next slide about some of our presenters. So I'm Walter Petrus. I manage the overall business apps team here at Netwoven. I've been here for a few years and appreciate the opportunity to kind of work with some of my coworkers here. Sam Soper, who's a senior engagement manager, is involved in a lot of the projects and being able to contribute. And he'll talk a little bit about some of the business impact we've been able to do with our customers with using this technology. Lloyd's really very actively involved in some of the solution development, and we'll talk a little bit about one of our products, solution areas that we have, and be able to answer some of the questions on how it's applied. And then we're fortunate to have some of our technical team to join in here, both architect, Sandeep is an architect, and Jeff is a principal consultant, really engaged in some of the implementations, be able to talk a little bit about some of the technical answers to our questions here. Next slide. At a high level, I wanted to just talk about the breadth of our business. I'd say, this is an area applying or building AI solutions does cover a broad spectrum of our company, at least in all the 6 solution areas Microsoft has. You'll see today solutions in the modern workspace using M365 and Copilot in this space. Underlying all of that infrastructure, you need to have a secure environment. And so we'll kind of highlight some of the areas in which we find security relates to enabling Copilot solutions. And of course, many customers sometimes don't have a complete cloud infrastructure that's ready for deploying M365 or Copilot. So those are areas that we work closely. My team's in the business apps area, so we're seeing a lot more agents that we're working on, leveraging some of the dynamics and ERP solutions. And so we're actively involved in integrating that across all the different areas. Certainly a lot of data-driven work that we do in analytics. And finally, we have a dedicated practice that cuts across all our teams to really drive a lot of the AI innovation and custom development that we do there. So next slide. A little transitioning, we certainly just explaining our company overall. We work and provide consulting services. We do have some expert staffing that helps customers when they're trying to grow in new areas. And again, because we have some specialization, we're able to kind of help you profile those expert staff very quickly. We do have a product. Govern 365 manages M365 environments. It's a great product if you ever take a look at it for managing and governing M365 and being able to create virtual data rooms as you're sharing information across your partner network. And then we've got solutions that we'll talk about today. So a little bit about how we approach working with our customers. I'd say, the first part usually is in advisory services. It's an opportunity to try to help customers understand the landscape and be able to quickly identify those use cases and the minimum viable product solution that we can actually build. Some cases we're partnering with the internal teams and maybe other partners to build those complex solutions and then be able to deploy and support it. So this combination of things really we think is a quick way of seeing benefit from those initial use cases to actually deploying the solution and being able to use it and have an impact in your overall company approach. I'd say this is critical for enabling the transformation. We spend a lot of time in digital transformation now, of course, maybe a little bit more on the AI side, but it's an area where we're looking forward to see if we can help you in any way. Next slide. I think we just try to net out what's coming up here. Clearly, there's a lot of hype around AI and AI-driven innovation, and there is certainly a lot of innovation in terms of helping end users with generative AI, and we'll talk about the differences of it. But we're also seeing that there's more and more investments in agent technology, and so the companies that we're seeing really take advantage of this technology change are really seeing a much better efficiency as well as impact on their revenue or impact on their profitability. You'll see a couple of studies we have from Microsoft that kind of highlights that. We think that low-code AI can really be a way and able to get your citizen developers involved as well as your IT teams. I think the question is, what's right for your organization as part of that initial assessment that we can offer our customers. Two ways to look at this presentation for today. We're focusing for some of the business leaders. We appreciate them. Many of you business leaders joining. I guess I'd say the big key component is how AI can really be a competitive edge for you. We'll show you a couple of examples in sales and forecasting as a way we've done it, certainly operational efficiency, and again, how the broader platform can really help your citizen developers take advantage of this technology. For the technical teams, we'll dive into it a little bit. We've got some technical architects here that can answer some questions, but low-code AI doesn't necessarily mean that you don't involve the IT teams. There's a fair amount of integration and be able to extend this for pro-code developers. So I really encourage everybody to take a look at some of the different platform technologies. We'll talk about Copilot Studios. And then in our space, in the business app space, we're doing a lot of integration with Dynamics 365, building Power Platform gap applications or complete applications and integrating with back-end platforms like SAP. So appreciate that. Next slide. I just want to give a quick context from what we're seeing. From any of you who haven't seen the Microsoft 2025 AI decision brief, I'll send a link here. It does have some good insights about generative AI, and that's really what we saw last year. Out of a poll of 400 participants, you have here a couple of examples. What's happened even in 6 months, from April to September, there really was more and more customers and companies that were in this study that took advantage of the initial explorations and turned them into realizing the benefits from it. So even in 6 months, a lot of people start to see it. I think this is still in the generative AI space. If you look on the right side, it talks a little bit about when companies decided to make themselves leaders in taking advantage of AI and really invest senior leadership into committing to take advantage of this platform. And they just saw higher return on investments. You can see here 5x on much more than other companies, when other companies might have let some of the individual contributors be able to take advantage of generative AI, but maybe didn't make this a corporate mandate. So again, it's a good study. It's worth looking at. It does have a lot of information that you can leverage in your own teams. Next slide. And for the last slide, I know we're going through this quickly, but we want to make sure we get into the technical presentations. But one of the things to think about, generative AI was certainly a big increase last year. And that's, the typical things you see, Copilot, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, all those things are really about pulling in retrieval, maybe making that, using an LLM to integrate that content and putting it together in a way that your teams can use. And that's a lot in this retrieval space. You'll see today how you can make that a little bit better by creating an agent, make it interactive for your business teams through Microsoft technology. And then you'll also see some examples we're starting to see based on Microsoft's announcements about 5 months ago, starting to see some of these task-based agents that are coming in. We're pretty excited to leverage those and be able to build upon them. And you'll see that around those automating a lot of the tasks. And some of the areas that we're even getting into now is autonomous. Can we automatically respond to emails and making them more targeted, make them more personalized for that customer's request or for that business request? Can we do that also with internal processes and make those more automatic? So this is the spectrum which you'll see us talk about, hopefully give you a hint on what's coming up and be able to partner with you in building those agent-based solutions. So with that, I'm going to transition it to Sam, and I'll be in the background looking at any questions. So please, just a reminder, if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A. And if you have any issues, please raise your hand and we'll try to help you. So to you, Sam.
Hey, thanks, Walt. Okay, we're going to move a little bit into the transformation as far as with Microsoft. How is Microsoft guiding us and providing us with what would be not just solutions, but a roadmap in which to just basically achieve AI? Well, first and foremost, one of the big things that's here is this Microsoft Sales Qualification Agent. Now, what we're going to do is you see how this pops up a nice little, it's not just these dashboards anymore. This is more like a predictive and interactive type of awareness of what's going on for you to actually achieve your goal, your sales quota, or things that are basically lined up by your organization and meeting your expectations to meet their expectations. So you can see here that it's basically showing you a broad variety across leads. It's across things that are popping up, people who have been promoted. And if we jump across, you're going to see that we can also get little details on it. So if we have a lead that's sitting in here, okay, this lead now gives us why would I want to actually, basically work with this lead? It's putting it at the top of my list. We get a little bit more detail in here. We can move completely right on through, and it's like, it's time to reach out. So it's going to create basically an email for us to basically look at that and basically connect out with that lead. Now, letting us not drop the ball. And that's the hardest part. And you're going to see a little bit later with one of our solutions, what the key areas that people have to deal with from the sales side, all the way from the pre-sale. Because you have to remember, sales start all the way with marketing, and then they move right on until they're finally qualified. So one of the things that's really important on this is, we covered the sales qualification agent, but the thing is what we don't realize, we think of it as just one solution. It's not. It's actually 3 separate solutions. And the 3 separate solutions that are agents that go into this, as an enterprise architect, I've been doing this for many years. I work with what they call solution building blocks, application building blocks. It's like a Lego set of your company. And so when we look at your organizational needs and we put technology and we try to meet that technology with a technical solution, okay, we're looking at the blocks that we can build that are going to basically become the foundation for some bigger solution. This is exactly what's going on in the AI agent space today, and Microsoft is embracing it just like it's written out of the playbook for enterprise architecture. They're building these agents that are accomplishing one thing, and they're doing it perfectly. But then when you start to combine these agents in such a way, it's actually building something that's starting to become more autonomous. It's starting to become its own process. And that's the key element here. And that's where the sales qualification agent comes in. So that's why we're better together. And that's the same thing with the agent. So I'm going to focus a little bit also. If you see this lead generation, automated follow-up, intent to buy, and personalized email tone, that all falls into the sales qualification agent, okay, as it's being deployed and used by salespeople throughout the Microsoft environment. Now, I'm going to call attention, though, to one thing down here in the sales management and operations space, and that is the fact that the Exchange integration via server-side sync. Server-side sync has been around, for those of you that have been aware, for a long time. And we've actually used tools inside of Outlook. There used to just be this Outlook add-in that allowed you to do and sync information to Dynamics. Then they created this connector, an Outlook connector to D365. Okay, and all those things all took place. And they did great things by being able to bring the information from your email activities and such right on into your CRM. However, server-side sync just took a brand new step up. What it did is it started to build the relationship access. And the relationships are now going across your organization. And it's starting to bring who knows whom. Okay, so now you can see that if I'm working on, and Joe's working another person, and we're starting working on the same company and we're doing the same things, we can start to say, I say, Joe, you know what? You've been doing this for 6 months. Please give me an introduction because we'd like to upsell this product. So there's an awful lot more flexibility and leverage throughout your Exchange environment with this new feature that's been added. So going into sort of Copilot and action summary here, you know, why, first and foremost, there are all these Copilots, and it's confusing, no doubt about it. But they're little agents. Remember the building blocks I referred to, okay? They're the part of the Lego set. Now, in this case, okay, we've got 3 basically Copilot agents that benefit your entire organization. And that's why I focused on this here. First and foremost, you've got the Microsoft 365 Copilot. You've also got Copilot for Dynamics 365 for sales, and then you've got Microsoft 365 Copilot for sales. Now, they all have somewhat unique and also paired functionality, so that together, if you look at that, they actually meet the majority of the roles or personas throughout your organization. That's incredibly important because you really don't want to have to buy the entire Lego set and try to build these things out. So Microsoft's already been building these Lego basically sets for you that when you basically deploy them in place, you're able to handle big challenges, opportunities pursued, close rates, deal sizes, customer retention. So this is one of the big picture items that I think you need to sort of capture is that there's a way to go in your AI journey here, okay, without it being complex. There's also a way to not basically rattle the cages of your organization so that organizational change doesn't actually become a barrier. It starts to become something that's attractive and actually generates not only enthusiasm, but it becomes incredibly innovative. Your people start thinking differently. And that's the key element here, because we're going to get to Copilot Studio, because we're going to show where all of a sudden that innovation starts to accelerate throughout your organization. And as it does, now you can take what's low code and you can start to bring it into pro code, and you can start to create what would be that exact outfit that actually fits your organization, personalized, so that it just dresses every process that's going on. And that's where the power is.
Hey, Sam, just going back to that,
Yes.
you just explained the technology involved or the licensing involved. What was that? That's for those 4 different scenarios are for integrated with Dynamics or just Copilot?
In this case, this is right here. Actually, the majority of these can be fit with Copilot, Copilot for Sales, which is a little bit autonomous. It doesn't really desire or require you to have a set CRM. It's really working about with the Microsoft 365 space, but you can connect it to your CRM as desired.
Oh, good. That was a question that came up. Thanks.
Excellent. I hope that answered it.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, so moving forward, we're going to get a little bit more into basically some showcasing and some demos. So this case, here's some solutions. Okay, before we jump completely into it, I want you to look at the 2 sort of features that AI-driven low code can do. Number 1, it unlocks innovation. So we've got application modernization, meaning you can take think of it as your same apps, connect them to where they actually function sometimes as one. And you can quickly do it, architect or re-architect. You can extend line of business systems. So if you're working with one system and it just wasn't quite doing that one thing, you're not going to get that feature released. You're trying to figure out it's going to take us months to do it. It costs this much. I have to get another outside vendor. That's not always true. Now you've got the ability with this basically to extend your line of business systems, and you can extend it at the user level where it's like the low code, or if you really want to get down in deep, okay, this is where Netwoven really specializes. We're able to actually conquer complex requirements, make it look like it's simple, and deliver it within just a few weeks or to a month. Something very quick. Sometimes they're done in a day. And when I say that, it's simple because there's not, again, no organizational change hurdle that pops up. People actually think and feel that they're actually working through one single process, even though they actually are in the same system they were the day before. The hyper automation aspect is the innovation where I referred to accelerated innovation. People start to think differently. We have seen this time and time again, where we've gone in and actually just started with a project. And Walt was talking about that when he showed like our process. We start usually our relationship with a process or with a project. And as that occurs, we start to form a relationship with our customer, our clients. And then it becomes a reciprocal relationship because we're teaching them the innovation and the thought process of innovation and the tools for innovation. And pretty soon they're telling us, this is what we want done. And this is how I think it could be done. And pretty soon they're starting to innovate and automate themselves. The other spot is unlocking the experience. That's where the innovation takes hold because your employees start to actually get to work a lot better, a lot happier, a lot more efficient. They're able to do more with less effort, which then allows them to have some things which might be mundane or routine tasks automated. So now they're focusing on the things that excite them. It empowers departments to actually become a little bit more autonomous. So they're not living with the same solution. They're using the same core solution, but they can use it differently. And they can use it that actually fits what their processes are. And then the biggest part, which is really cool on the technical side, is that you can accelerate professional developers. I've worked with developers for decades, and I've seen the transition of technology. And there are people that they love what they do. Developers are absolutely artists. Okay. Now, the cool thing about that, though, is that they don't have to give up their skill set to work with low code because it turns the low code into pro code. So they can take their skill set and actually enhance. So it's just like having a brand new set of tools to be able to work with your same basically knowledge and experience that you've had in the past. So that gets them really very excited. Sometimes it's a barrier to cross, but once you cross it, it's pretty hard to stop the technical side taking a full ownership and charge. So today we're going to jump through basically some of our applications. And of course, we offer a myriad of transformation services. The AI is what we're going to focus on today. And within the AI, the solutions we have are really, the low code, pro code development, which is what we do. And underneath that, we've got these solutions. Now, the ones that are darker in gray, I've left that we're not going to conquer today because number one, we just have to go through too many things. We're going to really focus on the accelerated opportunity forecasting, and then we're going to cover briefly intelligent scheduling, contract procurement management, AI document analysis, and the warehouse paper reduction. So, accelerated opportunity forecasting. Why did we choose that one? Because there's probably not one sales organization or organization out there that has not faced these issues. Okay. They will tell you right off the bat, and we still hear it even internally because sales is something they just they want it off their desk. They want it easy because they want to be out there in the fight. They want to be in the hunt. And so we want to keep them out there because that's what generates revenue. That's what keeps the rest of us all employed and excited about the work we do. But customer indecision, poor qualifications, ineffective communication, competition, pricing, lack of follow-up, and internal changes. These are all things that are really big hitters on how do you conquer them. Well, it's called a sales methodology. Okay. So our sales methodology is right here. Okay, that was prepared by Lloyd, who's on our team today. And Lloyd has been spearheading this. Now, MEDPIC is a sales methodology. It's a life cycle methodology. One of the key things that I want to point out is that we put it inside Dynamics 365. Doesn't necessarily have to be. This could be just a simple app, and it could be built on any methodology, even if it's not MEDPIC. MEDPIC is a very difficult strategic methodology, usually used by large corporations. And one of the key things, I mean, we're talking Salesforce, Microsoft, Oracle, SAP, Workday, ServiceNow. I mean, it goes across the board. Now, one of the key factors is it doesn't have to be this. There's multiple sales cycle methodologies that are out there, and we can actually tailor this because of that and produce an AI-driven solution. So what do we get out of MEDPIC? Thorough qualification, focus on the stakeholders, improve sales forecast accuracy, accelerated sales cycles, customer-centric approach, adaptability. Now, this is the key element of being able to work quickly with low code, and then also being able to basically enhance it with the pro code capabilities.
Just a reminder, everybody, please, any questions? I see a few in there, but go to the Q&A, put those in. Thanks.
So we're going to now touch on a few of the others just by going over a little bit of the flow chart. We've also, and this is basically a creation of Sandeep and Jeff, a scheduling management automated process. And the whole idea of this is that we've got this basically an optimized process. What the challenge was is that hundreds of appointments would have to be created, okay, on each project. And that was our client problem. And the whole thing took hours. We're talking 40 plus hours to just get scheduled. And then we're talking about rescheduling. And then we're talking about rescheduling because of the fact that, now you basically are messing up an organized approach to getting these scheduled appointments and meetings in place. And now how do you reschedule that? Because you have to find windows. So anyway, they worked together and they put together this basically automatic meeting coordination where it basically did bulk scheduling of multiple clients. And now we're talking minutes. Okay. I mean, seriously, minutes. We're not even talking about a half an hour. We're not talking about 15 minutes. We're talking minutes. And in that point of time, these hundreds of meetings can get scheduled. Now it's real-time availability with insights. This means it's looking into the exchange, performing all of the functions it needs to coordinate that appointment. It actually adjusts for time zones. And then ultimately, it puts visibility across the board for everybody when it gets sent out. Now, the key part is not everybody likes that appointment. So those 400 are going to take a look at it. We also have a portal. Okay. So created of a portal, the client would log in with their token. They actually get to see their appointment, cancel it, reschedule it. And the only time it gets rescheduled is when there's an opening. So now we just remove hundreds of hours on each project from our clients' basically work. Again, all tedious. And that's why the AI driven automation, and that's why scheduling management, that's why these two things all came together. Another one is contract procurement processing. Now, this is one of three we're going to touch on that are all part about optimizing operational efficiency and AI-powered document and data intelligence. I noticed on the poll, not many people had really picked that their document processing, was a problem. And yet every client I've gone into, and I think our team has, that's one of the key features or key things they talk about takes most of the time. So in this case, this is something where we're really talking about how do we take contract and procurement, because that's all about documents. Okay. And in this part, we actually have a request or an initiation. That initiation flows right to wherever their first stop is for review, which is legal and finance. Now they both basically review that, they finalize, and if it's not good, they send it right on back to the requester for a review through a loop. The requester then makes the changes, sends it back on through again until it's approved. Once it's approved, okay, then it gets disseminated all the way through to the vendor to get the final approvals through legal again and back to the requester. And then the information, the document gets stored basically for lifecycle management. Now, you have to imagine that this is a complex process. Now this is an automated process, not complex. Notifications flow freely. People can basically work together on documentation by using Microsoft 365, and they're able to basically get that We had a contract like this before? AI says, yes, you have. Here's 4 of your samples, and they're able to actually more quickly get those contracts to the vendors, get them signed, get them back in play. The warehouse paper reduction process is also very similar. And you know what, on this one too, Walt, I'm going to tell you what, if you can, I think you know probably more than I do on this.
Sure. Yeah. The basic piece is in common warehouse environments, you'll get whether either outbound, shipping information or inbound shipping information, being able to scan that and then process the different documents for particular metadata, so information that we care about. Take that information, being able to put it into a database and be able to search that and align it to maybe a system of record like SAP, and being able to provide audits to making sure that we have the correct information there and be able to flag exceptions, for international shipments and other things like that. There's certain requirements. It's just a really simple process for the end user. They just have to scan it in the copier, and then analysts can look at that, or the individual shippers can look at the information in Dataverse, Power Platform, and then be able to have that audit reports, as well as being able to talk about store it in bulk storage as opposed to in paper and boxes. Thanks.
I think one of the cool parts on this is the fact that you can have AI-driven compliance monitoring. So as soon as information is actually scanned in contextually, it can be actually reviewed. We're talking about not only a significant reduction in processing times, but your increased capability, to reduce or improve risk reduction. Just got myself into a double negative. So this is an AI document management process. Now, this one right here is also a little bit of a dual teaming with Sandeep and Jeff. And, one of the key things is, we've done this before and a few times, but in this case, it's not just a simple process, but it's a very quick process. And it all works, again, off of contextual type of AI, is the fact that, from scanning or form entry, that information can actually go, and it's utilizing Azure in this case. Again, extending the AI into that pro code environment. And you have multiple ways of storing it, everything from blob storage to just Dataverse to any type of document storage or SharePoint. And then ultimately what you're doing is you're being able to then report, because the AI is taking control of being able to disseminate, pull out the metadata, the key elements that are in those documents, put it all into that repository, and then Power BI can just report on it very quickly right on back. So you're near real time again. Okay, so now we're going to move into a little bit of unlocking innovation, and this is really working with the Copilot Studio. So this is, again, low code. Even though it's the Copilot Studio, it sounds like there's a development aspect, but it's citizen development, low code development, pro code development. So what we have here's some of the connection that's in here. You really have pre-built copilots, which are solution agents. Those are ready to use AI assistants that are embedded into Microsoft applications. Okay, you have Copilot Studio custom agents, which is the low code, no code platform. That's what enables the business to build and customize their own AI assistants, or to take an existing pre-built and actually enhance it, extend it. Okay, so why does this really matter? Well, because it gives you that immediate AI-driven productivity. Okay, it allows you to basically go deeper into your automation than even what Microsoft. They're not going to presume they know your business. They're going to presume they know business processes, and those common business processes are what they're solving right out of the box. So you don't have to do anything to enjoy and embrace that. And that's the first part of your journey as you're going through this AI transformation. But now you're given what would be the tools to even go deeper. So we take a step into some of the basically things. Here's the out of the boxes, like a use case, executive decision intelligence. Okay, use AI in Dynamics 365 sales, analyze real-time sales pipeline data, predict deal success, suggest next best actions. Okay, you can also have workforce productivity copilots, which in this case, you're looking at like a self-service, a type of a virtual agent AI chatbot, and that's going to answer your employee. Maybe it's HR, IT. It could even be in the world of field service, where they're actually, or customer service, where you're actually using a knowledge base to actually give you what would be activities resolutions. Okay. We're going to take a step from what would be that into what would be a little the pro code. So here's a nice pro code. Financial and credit risk management. Again, this goes back to even one of the tools we built, which is a credit risk management solution. So in this case, what it does, evaluate financial statements, credit history, market trends. Now it's going to predict that customer credit risk right off the bat, recommend approvals or escalations. Okay. Now another one of them is basically that's extending and out of the box is AI enhanced customer support and retention strategy. Now, customer support or customer service, those are already things that are built right on in, and there's a ton of automation and workflow that's already built into it right out of the box. But this is going to enhance the customer service copilot with some sentiment analysis, which identifies at-risk customers, suggesting retention strategies. These are basically customers who have negative connotations in what would be their sentiment, whether it's through an email or whether it's through a meeting, that allows you to prevent customer churn. You want to be able to do that. It also allows you to actually make and create a better customer service pipeline, which, that leads on and pays dividends years on with that brand loyalty. So here's Copilot Studio, and I'm going to talk you through this in this. So in this case, what we're doing here is this person's going to be building an actual agent, but he's going to apply the agent a little bit differently within teams so that others can use it. And we're going to see a little bit of governance on the inside. Okay. So what we have is we've got somebody who's creating their own Copilot, and it's a SharePoint Copilot. So he's going in and he's picking directories and documents and lists that he wants to use. Okay. From there, he's going to say, okay, I'm going to create an agent, and we're going to call it product maintenance. Okay. So this product maintenance agent is going to is going to be created, and he's going to have access to be able to, and I'm going to pause it here for just a second, be able to actually modify or accept the sources that are here. And you'll see right next to it is a behavior tab. And the behavior tab is going to explain what that agent's used for, provide guidance to the users as they actually go about deploying it. So here's the source, gets to review the source. And then going into the behavior, this is where we're able to identify all of the elements of it. And if you look down, you're going to start to see where we can start to enhance this if we want to with your agents. You're going to see that this can not just be that citizen developer, local developer, but we can take this into the pro code as we need, as we see fit. So we can even go back in and edit this at a later date. Let's just see how it works right here. So once this agent is basically created, it's going to be shared to be made available. Now you're going to see something interesting. It's just like when you're sharing out other things, it's going to create a link and you copy the link. So once that link is copied, they're jumping into Teams here and basically going to ultimately share this within Teams, but not just share it, going to share it in the form of basically a power virtual agent, like a chatbot almost. Okay. So he's going to add this into the chat that's part of the technical product forum group. Now, once this is in here, is going to be basically someone's going to be using it right off the bat, which is Mona, and she's going to be basically call it out, just like when you make a mention or you call it one of your teammates. And she does that. She calls upon it and gives it a request. It reaches into that knowledge and brings out information and provides basically documents that might be helpful. One of the other individuals actually recognizes that that's pretty good. I wonder if it can be used for something further. So he calls it on out also to see if it can find actually like a better, say, another comparable part. Okay. Now I'm going to pause right here because if you see, we're right inside of basically SharePoint, and at the bottom of the SharePoint, what there is the chatbot right down here. That chatbot is actually being stored like it is a file. So now you can actually assign the permissions, the governance that's necessary to protect it. You can back it up, archive it, delete it, copy it. And this is where basically now you could even go in and you could start to enhance it. So, we are talking about something that's very fluid. Now, I know that these right here always make things look like they go quick and you can just create them quick. Believe it or not, that is about as quick as it takes to create this. Okay. And so we are talking about, you're under an hour if you're actually using YouTube's or that. Now, when the pro code comes in is where it gets important, or when you start to use agents that are put together as those building blocks to provide that bigger agent. And these are the things that we have done when we built our solutions, is actually, of course, started from that ground block, that one basically building block, and then built up further out to create that master type of an agent. So how do developers use Pro Code? Well, I'll tell you what, this is where they start to actually, and I'm gonna show you a little bit on like this first one, like it's a financial risk assessment agent. This integrates SAP and D365. They're actually customizing the AI model and using Azure OpenAI. So now that gets technical teams pretty excited. Okay. Again, down on the next one, we're actually contract analysis agent. They're using Azure OpenAI to analyze and summarize legal terms. Okay. And then they're automating contract approval workflows using Power Automate. So there's a mixture of technologies that are being used in the Pro Code. It gets a little bit even bigger when using retention sentiment analysis. This is now you're actually integrating Copilot with Dynamics 365 Customer Insights. Customer Insights is a customer data platform, 360-degree client or customer behavioral profile view. And we are talking about bringing information from every source that you want to provide information relative to that client. And within that, you're able to deploy sentiment analysis, okay, which is looking at support tickets and calls using Azure AI. And then you're able to automate proactive outreach for at-risk customers. So that is where we're getting into full automation. Okay. Intelligent warehouse logistics, embed Copilot into a warehouse management system. This is using IoT results. So we're talking about now, just small pieces and snippets of information on performance on like different flow valves or any type of security or things like that. And the AI to do, in this case, real-time stock level tracking. Okay. You may have been shopping lately and seen the little robot that walks around going through the aisles, and all it's doing is taking pictures of the shelves. What that thing is doing is it's actually telling you your inventory. So organizations across the industry have been using generative AI, and these are some of them. We're not going to go through all of them. I can tell you that in summarize, we are saying like 10 to 20% productivity boosts. We are basically talking about that being employee productivity and supply chain efficiencies. So these are some things that are being just deployed quickly at large organizations using the Microsoft AI framework. So I'm sure this is going to be something we're probably going to talk about together as a team a little bit. And we've worked really hard to put together what would be something to help you through your transformation roadmap. And to start with, we offer workshops. And some of them are like free discovery workshops where you can actually get a flavor or a temperature check at exactly where do I stand in the AI transformation world. And those workshops lead to us providing that next level to say, well, if you're looking at these are your pain points and these are the things you want to, we actually can do an assessment. Sometimes assessments can actually have funding. Okay. So these are things that we actually go out and do for you. We look for the Microsoft funding that could help you with what would be those pain points to get the assessment. Now, that further assessment actually delivers you this roadmap. Okay. And it's your first level roadmap because it's a maturity. In enterprise architecture, we say there's 5 levels of maturity. Okay. And for the most part, I don't think I've walked ever into a company that's been at level 3. I've seen some 2s, but almost everybody is a solid 1 on the verge of 2. Now, in this case, we're looking at a roadmap that we have laid out. That's basically your foundation, which is build the MVP, defined use cases and education. That's really using your solutions that you have as best possible. Okay. That means your current solutions, let's not use them at 10, 25%. Let's try to get up there 60, 80% plus. Now, when you start to use the AI capabilities that are able to, out of the box, you're starting to get into optimization, which is efficiency through automation and insights. Sometimes that's a combination of what's available. Like we work very closely. I have seen Jeff perform magic with business process flows. And those business process flows are actually out of the box tools that just come with the Dynamics 365 framework. Now, then you take that and you actually be able to get some of the AI insights and actually feed the process flow. Now you're really starting to optimize your actual technologies. The transformation piece is where you start to integrate all those systems with predictive AI. Okay. Now you're actually pushing yourself forward even further, faster. And like I said before, we really want to get you to the point where innovation, which is autonomous AI for transformational outcomes, that's where you start thinking about innovation. That's accelerated innovation. I don't know, Walt, if you have anything to add. I'm not sure if I covered it as well as you most times.
No, did well. I think the key thing is I'd start looking for opportunities for that foundation, and starting small, getting you started, getting your teams familiar with it is usually a great place to start. We can help you in that assessment to look for those MVPs. Sounds good.
So this right here is sort of what would look like sort of a deliverable that comes out of even what would be your like a free workshop. And that is where we would try to identify some of the areas of foundation, optimization, transformation, innovation. So think of those all as their own columns. I have basically summarized it to make it more readable and understandable that if these are the phases of maturity that you're looking for, then these business objective would be start with AI assisted processes, move to predictive and proactive AI decisions. Okay. Now you read each one of those. It's pretty simple. You're really going from basic lead tracking all the way to where you're prioritizing and nurturing leads automatically. Now you're talking about marketing. You're shifting from static campaigns to real-time personalized customer journeys. Okay. And which is actually how marketing is it's the biggest trend, not just a trend. It's almost a demand now because people want to be touched where they actually carry their phone, where they carry their tablet, where they work. It's very defined these days. Productivity and insights, automating tasks, going all the way to that workflow decision-making, customer behavior, basically not just past data, but actually being able to predict data. And then, you're, of course, accelerating ROI. That's one of the biggest things is being able to achieve that growth and revenue stream. So now we're at the point where we really want to really do it.
Yeah, it's just I guess we just say, a suggestion for all of you to, as you're thinking about it, exploring how the co-pilots can help your organization. There's a lot of content from Microsoft, certainly other products too. But, again, Microsoft has a lot of content available. Engaging your teams, if we can help you in a workshop to help you brainstorm those use cases, and, reach out for a 30-minute follow-up discussion. I think that's really the core of it. Our team is here to help you in any different ways. With that, maybe we'll kind of jump into some of the technical questions or questions that have come in, and I'll kind of moderate for the rest of the team. So if you go to the next slide. One of the things that came up, I guess I'll start with Sandeep. One of the things that's come up is, you've been working, and Jeff, you've been working in this transformation for some of our customers. And sometimes, even once you build that initial model, it takes time to really fine tune it in order to be performant, but also cost effective and making that impact. Can you talk about maybe an example of that, and what should people expect as they're going through creating these AI solutions? I don't know, Sandeep, if you're there.
Yeah, sure, Walt. Yeah, so once we start the AI journey, and there's like lots of value in terms of, let's say, increasing accuracy, right? With all the Gen AI powered workflows or the model, we can reduce human error and enhance the precision of any task that we are trying to automate, through the AI. Cost efficiency, definitely you can reduce operational cost by automating time-consuming tasks and reallocating resources to more strategic function, right? Scalability, you can start, small, but depending on the growing demand from business, you can really scale up using all the Azure components that are available, and all the Azure PaaS components are really scalable. It definitely enhances the decision-making process too.
Yeah, and I think the only thing that just struck me too is sometimes, by using the automated tools, it's very helpful within Microsoft, but you have to be careful sometimes of the cost implications. And so getting some expert advice from somebody about what you've done, we've been able to save quite a bit from, customers' projects, because the out-of-the-box obvious solution sometimes can drive up costs quite a bit. So, leveraging somebody's expertise in terms of refining those models, it's taken us some time to learn those tips and tricks, but you'll find that you just have to be cautious sometimes in terms of your initial projects to get your experience and get some practical knowledge, and then you can really start accelerating that automation. Thanks, Cindy. One other question that came up again here was more about just the overall journey. I'm not sure who wants to take this, but when starting out, kind of looking at some automation opportunities, what are some of the ways in which to do those workshops and identify those biggest business challenges? I don't know if that's a Sam question or Jeff or Lloyd. Anyone want to take that?
I can jump in first if anybody wants to, call me on anything. The workshop is the first part of the workshop is we usually would have a set of questions depending on the industry, because we do a little bit of pre-work, and then we would send those questions on out which are relative or we feel is relative, and then get those results back. That's what helps us build a workshop. And then when we walk into a workshop, it's almost like walking through an inventory or taking a tour, okay, of your business, because we feel we already know some of it from the questionnaire. And we walk through, you give us that tour, we'll have questions that'll be further adaptive to those. And we identify what would be those pain points. We've been surprised. I mean, Jeff has, honestly conducted quite a few of these discovery team calls. And I don't, Jeff, just calling on you on this one, how many times has something started with just one simple question and then led to, a half-hour conversation on one topic of pain point?
Yeah, I mean, all the time as we start getting into something, it just kind of unravels, all of the other kind of requirements or needs.
Yeah, we've seen this time and time again.
Well, we're coming to close. We're going to submit you another poll to just get some quick feedback, and we'll keep answering a couple other questions that come in. So why don't you go ahead and launch that poll, Joe? One other thing that came up is just how does AI integrate into our existing IT infrastructure without disrupting operations? And just talk a little bit about the security implications, because that's part of the other team that works in there too. Sam, is that you or?
Yeah, actually, this is I'm going to start at from the core value. The core value is the fact that you're working within Microsoft's basically environment, which is a tenant of which something you own, and that tenant has a security barrier around it. I would call it bulletproof, because if you go look at all the compliance and the governance that Microsoft meets with this tenant security, it's global. And it's not just a laundry list of HIPAA, GLIBA, or SOC or things like that. It's actually such a large laundry list that it's you can just tell how exhaustive it is. Now our team is really built. We have a very, very strong security team as well. And so I think the core aspect think of these again as these building blocks that reside inside your tenant. Okay, so the security aspect of it is already pre-built. We showed an example of where the governance aspect can take place, is that it lives right inside of SharePoint. And SharePoint, of course, you run with your permissions, your security, and stuff like that on top of that. So nothing gets outside of your organization. There are what would be times when agents can go access information outside, but then there's also basically criteria that we make sure we follow to make sure that we're not exposing, we're either sanitizing the information before, masking what would be the PII or that information that could be used to ask questions external, or we're actually bringing public information inside your tenant first and staging it so that we're running a direct comparison again within your walls of security.
Thanks, Sam. And I'll just close it out with one comment that I kind of learned recently, which was I thought it was a good analogy. At least for the consumer world, it's important to pick a tool, a generative AI tool that matches your primary source of data. So if you're a big X user, use Grok. If you're looking at other platforms, use the AI tool in there. For us, working with companies that are so closely tied to Microsoft, it makes sense, and it's really advantageous because Copilot and of course the underlying ChatGPT engines have access to your corporate environment and can leverage that data. And I thought it was a perfect example that Sam showed. You could easily extend it to include your SharePoint proprietary information and be able to build a chatbot or a Teams application that could agent that could be able to answer it. So just encourage you to look at the platforms you use most and leverage the AI platform on that. Want to be respect to your time, so thank you to the presenters. Thank you most importantly for all the customers, potential customers that joined. We appreciate it. You'll see a follow-up mail and get this access to this content. Thank you again, and have a great day.
Thank you.